The Philadelphia 76ers escaped Wednesday night with a 109-103 victory over the Washington Wizards. But yet again, it was a game that Joel Embiid and Paul George were not able to play due to injury. To top that off, you are also without Jared McCain, you were without Kyle Lowry, you were without Andre Drummond, and you were without KJ Martin as well. And the point of this video, the whole purpose of this one is the Sixers still have an open roster spot. And just quite frankly, they need bodies and they need a person to just basically eat some minutes while these guys are out in games that Paul George is sitting out due to injury management. Joel Embiid sitting out due to injury management. Kyle Lowry at his old age and his unreliable play these days. You just need guys to fill some minutes. You have two-way guys starting to play more in Justin Edwards. You had Ricky Council's contract just get guaranteed the other day. But with KJ Martin still out, Jared McCain most likely out for the season. You need some more contributors on this team. And not guys that we're being honest with ourselves here. It's January. We're approaching February near the trade deadline. Maybe you go out and make a move there. But this team still has a roster spot, and you basically just need to fill it. It's not a want, it's a need. Just fill the roster spot. Get a guy that's able to go out there and contribute. On a night like tonight against the Washington Wizards where, all right, we need 15 to 20 solid minutes from you. And I have in this video 3 different options that the Sixers could potentially look to target to potentially fill those roster spots. So the first player that we are going to touch on in this one is a familiar face. Guess the player by looking at those stats. Yes, we're going back to Marquel Folz. Marquel Folz, the former number 1 overall pick from the Philadelphia 76ers. As we know, a tumultuous career here in Philadelphia. Number 1 pick, traded up for him, passed on Jason Tatum, the whole 9 yards. We do not need to relive that. He forgot how to shoot free throws. He forgot how to shoot threes. He was basically looked as the combo guard that would complement perfectly next to a Ben Simmons that was still dynamic and doing what he did best, and a big man in Joel Embiid. And Marquel Folz never amounted to that, never amounted to anything close to that. But still, in the regard of Marquel Folz being a complete bust, I think that narrative kind of went out the window. And I was very shocked that he is still not on an NBA roster because he turned himself into a solid player over these last few years with the Orlando Magic. He carved out a nice role, and he is a guard that I think you could rely on to be able to come in off the bench. Hell, I would take him and his athleticism and his defensive ability over Kyle Lowry now and what Kyle Lowry brings to the table in his old age. I mean, you had guys like Eric Gordon playing tonight, and, God bless Eric Gordon. He played well tonight. He shot the 3 ball well tonight. The Sixers probably don't win that game without him tonight. But him at his age is not a player that you want to be consistently relying on. When you look at a guy like Marquel Folz, he still has intriguing tools and traits. He's able to handle the ball well. He's able to defend well. He's got athleticism. He's got length. He's got some tools to work with that you can still, potentially even develop and tap into a little bit. But you look at the past few years, like after a really rocky start to his Sixers career, as we know, he was basically afraid to shoot the 3 ball. He couldn't shoot the ball at all. No one still knows and has a concrete story of what happened. And you're never going to count on him to be a high volume shooter, a good 3-point shooter from the outside. But you look at just 2 years ago in 22-23, he had averaged 14 points, nearly 6 assists, and about 4 rebounds per game. Those are very solid numbers. I know that was on a pretty bad Magic team, but this is still a player that is able to come in and play, I think, some solid rotation minutes. Play minutes for this Sixers team when needed. Give a guy like Tyrese Maxey a breather and help run the second unit. When Kyle Lowry's out, you can turn to Marquel Folz. And once again, you're not going to be leaning towards him for scoring, but everything else he brings to the table. And I think that's a solid enough role player, a solid enough rotational player, especially when you have an open roster spot. It's not like you're giving up anything. You'll probably be able to sign him to a cheap contract near the veteran minimum. Just a guy to eat some minutes and be able to contribute some things on a Tuesday night, on a Wednesday night against the Washington Wizards. Hell, if they play the Pelicans again, if they play the Hornets again down the line. Games like that where you just need guys to be able to go out there and contribute and be like, okay, this is a game that we can sit Joel, we can sit Paul George. Let them rest. I have enough faith in a guy like Marquel Folz and kind of handing over the keys to him to play 15 to 20 minutes to 25 minutes and be able to go out there, defend, rebound, attack the basket, push the ball in transition, make some nice passes as well. He's a solid enough player still at this stage of his career, and I think it would be wise to potentially look at giving him another opportunity. Bring him in for a workout, see what kind of shape he's in, and see if he's willing to kind of reunite here with the Sixers, or if he just wants to continue to be a free agent and wait for another opportunity. Obviously, that is up to him. Next player that we are going to talk about, this one is a little bit more off the radar, a little bit more off the wall if you're just looking at these statistics. He's been in the league, or he was in the league for quite a while, and he had a bit of a hiatus. As we saw before this year, playing in 7 games with the Pelicans, he hadn't been in the league since 2021, 2022. But he had a solid NBA career. He's had a solid NBA run, and obviously he's been out of the league for a reason. But we saw he had some moments this year when he was called up and brought to the Pelicans for a little bit of a reunion. Averaged 6.9 assists, 6.7 points, 3.4 rebounds. This is Alfred Payton that we're talking about here. Yeah, if you guessed that right, congratulations on that one. But the same Alfred Payton that in that 10-day contract, in those 7 games that he was able to play with the Pelicans, he had a 21 assist game. You just don't roll out of the bed and have a 21 assist game in the NBA. And Alfred Payton, another guy kind of in that Marquel Folz mold where you're not going to count on him for scoring and shooting. He's never been a great outside shooter in his career, only a 28% three-point shooter. But a guy that's able to distribute, know his role. I think he's going to rebound well. And just another player that we're not counting on you to score. We don't need you to go out there and score 25 to 30 points. And once again, this is January. We're nearing February. These guys are on the street for a reason. Alfred Payton was out of the league for a reason. But he did show in spurts this year, and it's a veteran guard and not a guy that you're going to be like, all right, we still got to develop him. No, he has a skill set where he's a good passing guard. He's pretty quick in the open court. He's got good vision. And he's a solid, willing rebounder as well. Once again, if you're just asking one of these end-of-the-bench guys to play 15 to 20 minutes while Kyle Lowry's out, obviously while Jared McCain's out, if Paul George is forced to miss more time, if Joel Embiid, obviously not playing the same position, but you're getting what I'm saying, that you need players to just flat out be available to play and play minutes. Kelly Oubre has missed time. KJ Martin still missed time. We don't know when he's coming back. This is the Sixers roster that we're talking about here. It's going to be injured left and right, as we know. The Sixers are a cursed franchise with injuries out the wazoo each and every year. And Alfred Payton's another guy in kind of that Marquel Folz mold where, all right, this is a backup guard. You're not going to be counted on to score. You're going to be counted on to rebound the ball, pass the ball, and kind of just initiate offense. And I think Alfred Payton, worst comes to worst, a 10-day contract is another guy worth a look to potentially fill that last and final roster spot there. And to break down the last potential signing for this Philadelphia 76ers team is Lonnie Walker, a guy that is from the area, grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, and was a former first-round pick, a former McDonald's All-American out of Miami. And another guy where, all right, understand with Alfred Payton, he's been out of the league for a few years. He has a cup of coffee this season. He performs well in that cup of coffee and doesn't get re-upped and no other looks. But Lonnie Walker and Marquel Folz have both formed into nice NBA role players, I think. I'm pretty shocked that they're not both in the league right now. Lonnie Walker playing overseas right now. If the Sixers want to buy him out and get him on the roster for this year, they have to do it by February 18th, and then it is a $450,000 buyout. But you look at Lonnie Walker just the past few years, shot about 37% from 3 these past 2 years with the Lakers and with the Brooklyn Nets. Averaged around 10 points per game. He rebounds the ball well. He's a really good athlete. He defends. He's another guy that, when I talked about in my video the other night, you throw him into the mix of the guys, up-and-coming guys like a Justin Edwards, like a Ricky Council, but then the more established guys in front of him, like a Kelly Oubre, like a Caleb Martin, obviously like a Paul George. Hopefully Paul George is able to up his play to a higher extent that we were looking for. But if a Caleb Martin's forced to miss time, if a Kelly Oubre is forced to miss time, I'm confident in turning to Lonnie Walker to play the 2, play maybe even some kind of small ball 3 there, but just be a fixture on the wing, play with energy, shoot the ball. He's got good athleticism. He's had a nice enough, solid enough career that I still have the faith in him. Like Alfred Payton, he's your longest shot of being able to kind of count on him for contributions. And as I said at my main kind of point, like this is just a spot to eat minutes for players when you have injuries. These guys are on the street for a reason. Maybe they're just not getting the deals that they want. But when you look at Marquel Folz, you look at Lonnie Walker, I think those are 2 legit contributors that could even help in the playoffs. If you're forced to play Alfred Payton in the playoffs, that's probably not a good thing. But you're also still, Nick Nurse has his little love for Kyle Lowry, and you're kind of forced to play him right now, and the Sixers are playing him when he's not injured. Alfred Payton, I don't really think can be that much worse, and I'm not advocating for the Sixers to sign him. But if they are looking for another potential backup guard, I think Alfred Payton kind of fits the mold. But I definitely think Marquel Folz and Lonnie Walker could fit a role and play a nice role on this Sixers team as well. I really like the infusion of talent and kind of athleticism on the wing that the Sixers have. And I think Lonnie Walker fits in that description as well and could be a welcome asset to this team. As we said, a $450,000 buyout from his team overseas, and that has to be completed by February 18th. So about a month and a half or month and change to do that. But those are three potential roster additions that the Sixers could look to fill with that final roster spot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you welcome Alfred Payton? Would you welcome Marquel Folz? Would you welcome Lonnie Walker to this Philadelphia 76ers roster? Or do you have other guys in mind? Would you want to attack the trade market? Let me know in the comments below and what you think of those potential guys. But as always, we'll be keeping it locked here on Sixers Digest. Tune in for more videos throughout the week as the Sixers continue to try to dig themselves out of this hole and find their way to the playoffs.